Hello everyone, my name is El Pernazo and in today's video we're gonna jam against Lunalight. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and share the channel with your people so we can grow. Also remember that I will still be updating the best jamming masterclass with the information that I used to win the national championship and almost go to Worlds, making top 8 at the Continental Championship. It already has over 5 hours of content that will become eventually 6 hours, 7 hours, and even 8 hours after the updates. All for just $20, so give it a shot. And now let's begin. Because this will be the greatest ending in any Yummy Lunalight match that you will ever see your whole life. I can guarantee you that. So just stay, okay? So let's go. I'm losing the dice roll, which is perfect against Lunalight, right? The best scenario. And here, well, luckily for me, I have like relevant hand traps against them. He is starting with the Golden Leo. And here, well, obviously I'm going to draw Lunalight, right? But I think it's worth it to see and understand the value that this card can also can give to the Lunalight in some aspects that some people may not appreciate, right? Because I can tell you right now, oh, it's going to like it's a new way to get polymerization, it's too bad, it's because this other effect right here. But no, actually what I want you to understand is the value of the card because of the attack stats and being an extender, which is going to be relevant but after. Just have those kind of value in mind. The problem though is that it's still an extender that gets punished by the very same cards that people will use against Lunalight as always. Like, it's not an extender that can help you play around Troll and Lover because you can get the polymerization after, right? So here, thanks to the Troll, he don't have any way of use except the heavy polymerization, right? Which means that if he still can generate 4 Lunalights, and one of them is the Kaleido Chick, and the Kaleido Chick successfully become the Lunalight fusion monster's name, I still lose the duel, right? Because whenever you play Yami, obviously you need to understand that the Liger Dancer is basically game over, right? Like, there's a way that your engine can deal with it, but it's very unlikely that your opponent will actually will actually allow you get you there. So here, my opponent is not using the effect of Cyberhoon, which could be weird for some of you, but he just don't wanna lock himself into Lunalight monsters. So because he's under the draw, getting the extra body right now is not that useful. Here he is just using the Kaleido to get to the wolf, and here he's going for the Dugares because he's still not locked thanks to him not using this extended effect of the Cyberhound, right? And here is when I decide to Gospel because the amount of his investment that he was making to get again the Kaleido Chick was something that I just wanted to avoid. Also, I wasn't aware of the other cards that he may have in his hand, so I just don't want to put myself in a position when he actually got the Lunalight fusion name and got Lunalight names enough to make the Liger Dancer just by poly or super poly in this case, right? Which was going to be the case because here, if I allow him to revive, like, he will have got the names that he needed. So let's see. I mean, he will have need another name. Yes, sorry, but if this Ash Blossom would have been another name, that could have happened, right? And we didn't know that in that moment. That's why I just wanted to just prevent the SP Little Knight. The problem here is that I exposed myself to an extra negation from my opponent, which was most likely to do, right? I think that in hindsight, I should have still saved the Gospel to prevent the only way that he could have made fusion in either Gospel in the effect as a pendulum or straight up Gospel in the Leo effect to recover the wolf in the graveyard. I think both of them could have been better options because now, thanks to the fusion, is like he can straight up negate my engage now, right? Plus the SP is like, that's just life, but the biggest issue right now will be that he has a spell negation. Now because in other scenario I could have been able to negate the Ash with my with a crossout, and I could have just win the duel, right? I didn't need to use Kagari effect to get back the Hornet, to not expose myself to the Little Knight, and just normally to draw and go for my Kapsiyami way and just win the duel. But you know, I was just so focused at that moment to just prevent the names for the fusion Lunalight that I didn't have this perspective on hindsight I'm giving to you to prevent actually something that was most likely to happen, which is the negation of the graveyard spell negation, which is exactly what's going to happen here. And now I just don't have any way to play, and I just pass, right? And here is where I'm gonna show you the value of this Scarlet in other aspects that a lot of people won't tell you, like this net store here, right here, because now he's gonna use a Lunalight monster effect, like, and because he used a Lunalight monster effect, even though I'm making the draw, he can special summon this one. Yes, he's not going to add polymerization, but it's still a 1900 body here. And now, thanks to the second Silver Hound, he can go for another one. And thanks to these two being precisely 1900 instead of other monsters, like instead of other monsters that the Lunalight deck has, like for example Cyber Hound with 1400, the the Kaleido with 1400, and the Gold Leo with 600. These ones having 1900 allowed him to kill me this very same turn. So big value right there. Now or at least I think is actually big value. Now here I'm going first, and he's dropping the Fugalos in the draw phase. Here I was thinking if it was worth it to ash it, because my play is a Fiensmith card, right? The Fiensmith always dies to against the Fuga. However, what I ended up concluding is that because this engraver will lose against any hand trap that he may have. I am and by that point I don't will be losing just the engraver but the Ash Blossom, because I will need to use this Ash against this full one. At that point I would rather just not give him any draws, keep my 3 good quality hand traps, just add my track, and make sure that I can play the very next turn, because I think that because one of these hand traps being still the draw, I think I could handle whatever he could make. And I just don't want to risk myself to lose to any other hand trap. If I had, for example, a Yami monster, I will have Ash Blossom for sure, right? So here I decided not to risk it, which it was great because my opponent actually not only had 2 other hand traps, but a third one in the form of a second Fugalos. So using my Ash wouldn't have mattered at that point. So nice for me. Okay, so my opponent is just starting with its actual play, and thanks to my I just conditioning the whole turn because of the draw, and now he's just going for again the Cyberhound. This time obviously he's using the effect, so I just don't want to risk anything. I use the Ash Blossom, and now he's just setting a monster to try to do something. And now I have also automatically 2 more pushes because I have a Yami monster, which means that my brick in Yami Surprise is now an extender. So here I just have to win the duel, right? Here I'm thinking about how if I want to risk anything at this point. So I decided just to go with the Almirage because I'm to use my Ghost Bell as a yet another extender, so I can guarantee the duel right now. Like for example, if he has a card like Roll, I will have an extra body thanks to what I'm just doing here. So I'm just doing that. And now I'm just gonna win the duel, right? Just in case, I am just putting the assist, and now I'm just going for the snatchy, because blah blah blah, and just straight up winning the single. Here is when I'm gonna hide the hands. Well, I'm gonna yeah, I think it's worth it. So stay with me, okay? I'm gonna show my hand. Okay, sadly, we draw the full that we put as a crossout target, but it is what it is. I still have the engraver and the Yami name. So, sorry. I'm feeling kind of nice because he's going first, and I have 3 good quality hand traps, right? So, and one of them again is the draw. He's going again for yet a search that will condition the rest of the turn if my draw is resolving, which is something that I do. And I'm going for the draw that is resolving, so I'm nice. And here, my opponent is going for Lunalight Tiger. Here, what I'm thinking again is if he's using this Lunalight Tiger for this one right here, he maybe is just trying to get yet more names. Maybe he has the Cyberhook in his hand, and he actually needs the other name in order to go for at least a negation, just like single one. He wants also to use like let me see. And I was just kind of thinking like I just don't want to avoid the body, right? Here I was just again thinking I don't want more Lunalight bodies, and I think I got just overconfident about thinking the draw already resolved. So what is he going to do at this point, right? So I'm just going for the Ghost Bell here. He is going to insist in reviving this black sheep because he's going to use now the perfume, basically exchanging with my gospel, right? So here is when it comes the crazy part, okay? Okay, some of you can make the argument that maybe I rushed my gospel. At this point, I was also thinking, well, if my opponent already is under the draw, in what kind of scenario I'm gonna actually use this gospel? It's very difficult for him to generate the Golden Leo and then dumping a Lunalight monster if he's starting by Lunalight Tiger and the Black Sheep. So I rather just try to avoid any kind of body at that point, considering the scenarios where Gospel could have been actually useful at this point. And if he had cards like the perfume that would have been relevant for my Gospel, then I will have just preventing one body anyways. So, regardless of that, what I wasn't thinking for sure is that the whole reason why he was making a body without normal summon is because he want to make a tribute summon. He wanted to tribute summon Vanity's Fiend, because obviously this is what you play when you're a Lunalight deck and you go first. And well, this is gonna obviously got me crazy. I obviously didn't think at all about Vanity's Fiend, and here, because of the shock value of Vanity's Fiend being summoned in a Lunalight deck, well, I didn't think that through, and I was just thinking I'm gonna save this Purulia, so if he tries to push for more damage, I'm gonna get a draw at least. I think that was a good idea. Obviously, I'm trying to cut my deck because I'm trying to dig for the impermanence, right? Because he can't special summon either. And well, now it's not relevant for him to. Okay. So now. And now I think this was okay for at least this turn. Because maybe he was making the mistake of just actually giving me the draw, right? He's not gonna do it then doing it also, he's just going to attack me. And here is when I think I make the mistake. I should have set the Fuwa to prevent more damage. And then I will have given me more turns to actually see if I draw the impermanence. Because now I'm just exposing myself. I'm just receiving too much damage right now that push me to in a position that I need to draw the impermanence here. And only here. Which I don't. And I think that was a big mistake of mine. I think I could have prevented that if I played differently. So that's just on me. And eventually I'm just losing the duel. Well, I wouldn't have drawn the impermanence anyways, but it is what it is, right? I don't think you should expect facing an actual Lunalight with Vanity's Fiend in the side deck. I think it's very unlikely, but I wanted to share this nevertheless because I think it was very funny, and I think you can still learn or enjoy something from single 1 and single 2, especially single 3 with this Vanity Fiend. So if you enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your people, give a shot to the best Yami Masterclass. you can see the free section, so you can see the actual value that the whole content will be. And I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.